Hello, Church at Home people. I'm back and I'm raring to go and happy to see you all again. I hope you had a great August and Labor Day weekend. I don't know that I'm ready to go back to work, but I'm definitely ready to be back here with you. So I hope things are going well, and let's see where the future takes us. Today I want to talk about something. I've got these post-it notes all over my room, my office, and one of them has been up on my desk for months. And it's from a video that Beau, the fifth column, was doing when he's talking about Republicans. And I don't want to talk about that. But what he said was, the question was, does this make my life better, or does it make others' lives worse? Sort of a go-to question. And I got thinking about that, about the decisions that we make and how we make them and why we make them. And really thinking about that. There's lots of times I make decisions in my life, and because I'm a normal human being and I have lots of foils and foibles, I try to make decisions that will make my life better. You know, like what I'm going to eat. I don't often make that decision well. The last month, I have not made that decision well at all. Ate lots of good food in lots of good places. Most of it was not salad. A little bit, but not a lot. But so making decisions based on the question, does this make my life better? If it's going to make my life better, then probably it's a good decision, right? But then there's the other part of it. There's the part of, that's the very selfish side. And sometimes being selfish is not a bad thing. You got to take care of yourself, right? If you don't take care of yourself first, then who's going to take care of you? What's going to happen? Like they get on an airplane, they always say to parents, you need to put your oxygen mask on before you put on your child's. Your child's going to be okay the time it takes you to do that, because if you don't take care of you, then there will be anybody to take care of your child. So yeah, the whole selfish taking care of yourself thing first, not a bad thing to do. But then the question becomes, what happens after you take care of yourself? What are the implications or the cause and effect things that might happen? So I can take a look at something and say, okay, does this make my life better? So I walk into the bank and I notice that there's an older person in front of me who has a business, a cash business. They have a restaurant. They're doing very well, and they drop $100 on the floor, $100 bill on the floor. Now I can look at that $100 bill and say to myself, does this make my life any better? Well, you know what? $100 always makes your life better. You know, whether it's the cable bill or your credit card or your groceries or your gas these days, $100 always makes people's lives better. But then the next question has to be, does this make someone else's life worse? So this old person gets up to the teller at the bank, and they go to make their deposit, and I pocketed that $100 and nobody saw me, and they get up there and it counts wrong every time, and they're like embarrassed, and so they deposit the amount that's actually there. They go back to their restaurant, try to figure out where they went wrong. They think they're losing their mind because something's happened between when they counted it last night and when they brought it to the bank, and now like the cascade of problems. Who had access to the money? And now somebody might get accused of stealing that $100 when it was me. Did it make my life better? In one way, yeah. Now, because I'm a person with a conscience, if I did pick up that $100 bill, it might make my life better in the moment, but eventually my conscience, my Jiminy Cricket on my shoulder would kick in and say, that was bad, you're wrong, you shouldn't have done that, and I would feel guilty, and I would get a stomach ache, and I'd go to the bank and say, I made a mistake, and then I go to jail. Okay, so no, my life didn't end up better in the first place, in the long run. But there are people who maybe don't have that little Jiminy Cricket on their shoulder. And that question of, does this make my life any better, never gets followed up with, does it make someone else's life worse? And that's that thing about being in community. Most of us, I'm thinking probably if you have an internet connection, you're not living off the grid, which means you're probably not without a community. You may not live with other people in your house or in your apartment or your yurt or wherever you're living, but chances are you do run into people through your day-to-day life. Maybe not all the time, but throughout the week. And that means that we have some sense of being in community with other people, that we bump up against people, we're in relationship with them. And hence, we do things that impact on them, and they do things that impact on us. So when we live in community, we have this relationship that we are responsible for, that we need to be careful of. We have we have the responsibility as human beings and as citizens, most definitely if you're Christian, that we need to not only ask the question, will this make my life better? But also, will this make someone else's life worse? A third question, which we should be thinking in terms of is, so we figured out that this will indeed make my life better, and it won't make someone else's life worse. But the third question should be then, will it make someone else's life better? Now, if we get all three of those questions down pat, think about what our lives would be like. Think about how incredible our communities would be if we took care of ourselves and made sure we're going to be good, that our life is going to be healthy and we can move forward and we have what we need, and that we're not doing anything that we're aware of that would hurt someone else, but that we're actually going to go out of our way to make a decision that will better someone else's life. So we might make the decision that from our own amount of money that we take to the bank from our paycheck or from our business or whatever we do, we might say to ourselves, you know, the old tithe thing from the Bible, that we're going to take a little bit of what we have and we're going to put it towards something good. So we're going to take care of ourselves. We're going to pay our bills, make sure our food is paid for and our gas and roof over our heads and the kids' university is paid for, things like that. We're not going to steal from other people. We're not going to do things that will hurt other people, but we're also going to, make the decision that, yeah, when that person comes to the door and knocks and says, would you donate to the Cancer Society, or would you buy Girl Guide or Girl Scout cookies from us, that we're going to say, yes, absolutely, I would like to do that. Not just because it makes us feel good and makes our lives better, because it will, but also because it makes someone else's life better. Just imagine if we were all to do that, live our lives in such a way that our lives were in good shape, we weren't hurting anybody else, but we also made the intentional decision to help someone else. If everybody did that, or even if just the majority of the people in our communities did that, think about how amazing our communities would be. We'd be starting a kindness revolution, wouldn't we? So what do you think? Can you try that out this week? Now that we're back at church at home, let's figure out ways that we can reach out and start kindness revolutions. Have a great week. I am so glad to be back and glad you're here with me. I will see you again tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachael.